You are with us. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of the program. I don't know why those other parents didn't follow the role of Felicity Huffman and 13 others and fall on the sword if they're guilty in this college thing. Because otherwise, you know, they're making a big mistake. Anyway, but there's no truth to the lie that Trump is looking to bring back child separation. Can I just say that for everybody? Well, the polls in Israel have just closed. What we're hearing, it could be very, very, very tight. Nobody knows how this is ultimately going to end up. I'm just hoping that Bibi Netanyahu gets to form the next government because, what they did to him before this election, I've never heard of it. You're indicting somebody for cigars. Just ridiculous. We'll get to that. Also, there is now a tremendous amount of pressure being brought to bear on Kim Foxx, the attorney in Chicago, even though I guess Rainbow Push Coalition had her, Bobby Rush, claims now of racism, etc. We'll get to all of that in the course of the program. We have other news breaking on the deep state that is extraordinarily revealing. Doug Collins now is giving us more closed-door testimony as it relates to, in this case, the head counsel of the FBI under Comey, the general counsel, and that would be James Baker. We have a lot to get to. We're going to unravel all of this. We have it all. The attorney general appearing earlier today and going backwards, I guess sometime this afternoon, Bill Barr at a hearing, just describing in detail. I'll go over a couple of these. We'll play more later in the program, but where he goes over the 4 areas of the Mueller report, which will be redacted. Now, remember, it was people like the cowardly Schiff, excoriating how dare Devin Nunes release things where it's possible that sources and methods will be released. That is just basic common practice. Now, if you go back to the independent counsel statute that was in place when Bill Clinton got impeached, it was the Democrats that wanted this law fixed and changed. And they're the ones that, at that time, there's 17 Democrats, including Nadler. They didn't want the Starr report released. And then they changed the law. Now we've got a special counsel, which gave more control to the Attorney General and Department of Justice. And anyway, well, they're saying, I'm not sure I believe it. They haven't even counted the votes yet. That Gantz has beaten Netanyahu with the larger number of seats. Claiming that exit polls released late in the evening would show that he's had, exit polls in Israel are as reliable as they are here. The polls just closed. So I'm not taking that to mean anything because you still got to count the votes. Exit polls in 2004. Remember 5:15 on this radio program. I got the exit polls. John Kerry was going to be the next president. John Kerry defeated George W. Bush. Big problem with that. Didn't happen. At 5:35 Eastern time that afternoon, Dick Cheney called this radio program. And he was pushing hard for Ohio voters and Florida Panhandle and Southwest Florida voters to get out and vote. Those were the 2 states they had to win re-election. And they did, handily. There was no recount or dimpled or pimpled or swinging or hanging or, broken chads. No double votes. So I'm not taking I'm taking all this with a grain of salt. There's 2 polls actually that now have come out of Israel. One has it tied. One has Gantz up by 4. But in 2016, when I got the exit polls, I get them every election year at 5:15 while I'm on the air. Somehow I'm on the air and I'm trying to navigate reading it, and you're not allowed to report it their attitude. They were giddy. Giddy. They'd all go on the air at 5:30 onwards on election night. They're so happy because they read the exit polls. You're not allowed to release some of the information or the majority information in the exit polls until later. Okay, so they're giddy. I read the same exit polls. I happened to talk to Donald Trump. I called him in the first break. I said, you're going to get somebody walking into your office and drawing straws right now. Who's going to be picked and have the duty to walk in and tell you bad news is coming? I said, don't believe it. Then I told him the Dick Cheney story. Well, it happened again, because according to the exit polls in 2016, Donald Trump lost North Carolina. He had lost Pennsylvania. He had lost Michigan. He had lost Wisconsin. He had lost Ohio. He had lost Florida. He lost it all. It was barely, we couldn't even see if he was going to win any states. The exit polls are notoriously wrong. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the case today, but I certainly hope so. But with all the shenanigans, you talk about a witch hunt in America. This is a witch hunt against Prime Minister Netanyahu. You look at the residence of the Prime Minister of Israel, and you compare it to any other head of state, it's like the equivalent of a 2-bedroom apartment in New York City. It is not ostentatious. It is not presidential. It's not, frankly, fitting the office of a prime minister. And the idea that cigars and maybe a bottle of wine somehow results in an indictment 5 weeks before the election is absurd. And this guy's had more moral clarity on the world stage when others have had none, as we saw in 9/11 and the dangers we're facing. All right, let me get back to what's happened. So Bill Barr, let me go over what he said about the Mueller report first, and then we'll get into Judicial Watch now has uncovered discussions in the latest production of emails, matter of fact, hundreds of them, suggesting the entire collection could be classified and basically a cover-up of FBI documents, 422 pages of FBI documents showing evidence of cover-up discussions related to the Clinton email system within the Platte River networks. That was the place that held Hillary's secret server in the mom and pop shop bathroom closet. They were the vendor that managed the Clinton email system. The documents now show intelligence community people Charles McCullough forwarding concerns about the classified information on her emails. New documents uncovered by Judicial Watch contain Clinton's 2009 classified information, a non-disclosure agreement bearing her signature. And anyway, so we'll get to that today. And now we have Doug Collins striking again with the general counsel of the FBI. So we have two big pieces of news we've got to sift through in the course of the program today. But let's go to Barr's testimony, which was supposed to be about the budget over at the Department of Justice. But he, of course, was asked repeatedly about the Mueller report. And he says that, well, here are the areas that have to be redacted. And he says that it will be released likely to the public within a week.
But I am relying on my own discretion to make as much public as I can. Now, in my letter of the March 29th, I identified 4 areas that I feel should be redacted, and I think most people would agree. The first is grand jury information, 6E material. The second is information that the intelligence community believes would reveal intelligence sources and methods. The third are information in the report that could interfere with ongoing prosecutions. You will recall that the special counsel did spin off a number of cases that are still being pursued, and we want to make sure that none of the information in the report would impinge upon either the ability of the prosecutors to prosecute the cases or the fairness to the defendants. And finally, we intend to redact information that implicates the privacy or reputational interests of peripheral players where there is a decision not to charge them. Right now, the special counsel is working with us on identifying information in the reports that fall under those 4 categories. This process is going along very well, and my original timetable of being able to release this by mid-April stands. And so I think that from my standpoint, within a week, I will be in a position to release the report to the public, and then I will engage with the chairman of both judiciary committees about that report and about any further requests that they have.
And by the way, Barr said that he didn't expect or anticipate that there would be any use of executive privilege, which would be open to the White House, which I think they probably should use, but whatever. And he testified and said that the IG Horowitz and the FISA investigation, that may be done by May or June. That's going to be huge. And he was, in fact, reviewing the conduct of the summer of 2016 investigation. And as it relates to the individual who leaked the FISA order against Carter Page, Barr said if there is a predicate for an investigation, that it will be conducted. He wouldn't answer whether the White House has seen the report. And so we move forward from here. Now, Barr did say during his testimony that, by the way, this is the Appropriations Committee. This is supposed to be about money. Anyway, Barr explained that the Justice Department Inspector General has his pending report. He also confirmed he's personally reviewing the investigation. And he said, more generally, I'm reviewing the conduct of the investigation and trying to get my arms around the aspects of the counterintelligence investigation, Crossfire Hurricane, that was conducted in the summer of 2016. And that came after the ranking member, Devin Nunes, said over the weekend that he's preparing these criminal referrals that will be coming out this week. Let me just go over the quick list. We're going to be getting those criminal referrals. We're going to be getting the IG report. We're going to be getting the investigation into leaks by John Huber. We're going to be getting more closed-door testimony like we got from Baker today. We're going to be getting more FISA requests. We're going to eventually get the FISA warrants. We're eventually going to get the 302s, the conversations and remarks between people like Orr and Christopher Steele. We're also going to get the Gang of Eight information and much, much more. What this is going to end up doing is, I believe, you're going to see not only criminal referrals, but indictments of those that abuse their power. And that's why he's investigating, what is FBI, DOJ misconduct in all of this. Mark Meadows said today that about the criminal referrals, that the right move from Devin Nunes, more criminal referrals are to come and certainly more deserved. Overwhelming evidence shows multiple FBI, DOJ executives abuse their power to undermine a duly elected president. They will all be held accountable. He's absolutely right. And it even gets deeper than that. And I'll get to that in the next segment, and a lot more information. We're also watching the results out of Israel. If we have any new information, we'll pass that on to you. We have Greg Jarrett and David Schoen going to be checking in today. Kimberly Strassel checks in with us today. We'll get a lot of your calls in at some point in the program. 800-941-SHAWNA if you want to join us. First, I want to remind you, if you are a believer in the Second Amendment, our right to keep and bear arms, if you are like me and many of our listeners, responsible gun owners, well, you're going to want the USCCA and their offer right now. They're giving away 17 free guns. And right now, they're giving one away every single day. Remember, the USCCA, they help train and protect responsible gun owners just like us. A different gun every day. It all ends on April the 30th. It's simple. Take out your cell phone. Text the word PROTECT, PROTECT, to the number 87222. 17 chances to win. All right, but this all ends soon. And by the way, your next chance to win is midnight tonight. So take out your phone, text the word PROTECT to 87222. PROTECT. Text PROTECT to 87222. We'll continue on the other side. Channel 10 has everybody tied 36-36, but the right coalition is 60. This is a parliamentary system. It's very complicated. There are so many different groups on the ballot. And tied between the blocks 60-60. If you get 60-60, well, that means, that would mean if it's tied 36-36, the blue and white party and Likud that means Bibi wins by a lot, because that means the right versus left coalition in Israel will have won 66-54. That means Bibi will be prime minister again, which is what we want. That's why they ran out there as quickly as they could. Oh, we won 4 minutes after the exit, right after the polls closed. 4 minutes. They just sound like Democrats here. I have somebody that's really smart and important on the ground that has been there for all of these elections of Prime Minister Netanyahu, just said, we're going to win. He says we have it. So we'll be watching, just passing on information. All right, so we've got all these other stories we're covering here. We have Judicial Watch has been able to get these cover-up discussions as it relates to the Clinton email server, Platts Rivers Network. I just read to you how they actually describe in detail the use of BleachBit to erase, that says, quote, document showing the use of BleachBit on Clinton's server. And the BleachBit program was downloaded from a vendor called SourceForge at 11:42 a.m. March 31st, 2015, according to the computer event log. And over the next half hour, they used BleachBit to delete the files on Hillary's server. Documents also containing emails, handwritten notes, written in June and July of 2015. Now, remember, 2015 is the primary season. Everybody's out there trying to get into the debates, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, the redacted sender writes to a State Department official named Margaret Peggy Greifeld that the inadvertent release of the State Department's equities, when this collection is released in its entirety, the potential damage to the foreign relations of the United States could be significant. McCullough forwards the concern, saying, well, you need you plugged in on this. All right. So then, that's all sent June 27th, now 2015. While working with the inspector, I have personally reviewed hundreds of documents in the Hillary Rodham Clinton collection, meaning in her offsite server, which is illegal. I can now say without reservation there are literally hundreds of classified emails in this collection, maybe more. For example, there are comments from department staff in emails relating to the WikiLeaks unauthorized disclosures. Many of the emails relating to this actually confirm the information in the disclosures. Now, the material is subject to FOIA litigation, Freedom of Information Act litigation, and the emails will now have to be found, reviewed, and upgraded. And upgraded means, you're no longer classified. And under the Executive Order 13526, it would be in our right to classify the entire Hillary Rodham Clinton collection at the secret level because of the mosaic effect. So all of this was done by her illegally. All of this was done to avoid congressional oversight. And then it goes on to say, while there may be inequities in this collection, including private classified information, I'm very concerned about the inadvertent release of the State Department equities when this collection is released in its entirety. The potential damage to foreign relations of the United States could be significant. Now, this is interesting. Now we have another email. We're to June 29th, 2015. Need you plugged in on this. Need to coordinate with state's WB person. August 2015, classified memo prepared by the FBI Counterintelligence Division regarding the findings with respect to Hillary's email server. The FBI noted that the ICIG had found that in a sampling of only 40 of Hillary's 30,000 emails, 4 classified emails were found out of 40. A subsequent letter sent to Senator Richard Burr and to DNI Director Clapper regarding the sample of Clinton emails noted that they were all classified at the secret level. Okay, let me stop there. That means she violated the Espionage Act. That's a felony. 18 U.S. 3 793. And the FBI knew about it right here and then. That's what this means. A year later, they would exonerate her. A year because we knew the investigation was rigged. We now know that, according to the closed-door testimony of Page and Strzok, that they were saying as much. This is ridiculous. They're all Democrats. Of course she's getting off. And she did. And Strzok, it would be almost a year later before Peter Strzok interviewed her. In the interim, in May of 2016, remember, we're now in August of 2015. In May of 2016, they began writing the exoneration. Investigation had hardly begun of Hillary Clinton. Comey even denied it. So he's in trouble there. Anyway, so they were able to take a small sampling. 40 emails, 4 of the 40 had classified information on it. In an August 2015 internal FBI memo, the FBI noted Hillary had signed a June 28, 2011 official correspondence advising all State Department employees, quote, due to recent targeting of personal email accounts by online adversaries, State Department employees should avoid conducting official department business from their personal email accounts. So she knew that it was dangerous. She did it anyway. She just continued. Same FBI memo noted that Undersecretary of State for Management Patrick Kennedy had sent a memo to all senior State Department officials on August 28, 2014, including excerpts from the Foreign Affairs Manual. It said classified information must be sent via classified email channels only. That's another warning that she had, and she's giving out warnings. And what Judicial Watch found is a lot of infighting between the Department of State and the Undersecretary Patrick Kennedy and the ICIG over the processing of potentially compromised Clinton email communications. There's a June 15th, 2015 memo for the record prepared by the ICIG regarding the State Department review of Hillary's emails, indicating, among other things, that retired Foreign Service officers that the state was using to review Hillary's emails were not optimal. Evaluation of other agencies' equities is not optimal. State Department is currently relying on retired senior Foreign Service officers to review for other agencies and for Freedom of Information Act requests. For example, a review of the first set of 296 emails received from former Secretary Clinton and released to the State Department Freedom of Information Act website identified material that would have been referred to the IC, Freedom of Information Act officials, for review prior to release. Recommend State Department FOIA office request staff support offices to assist with identification of intelligence community. They wanted their own people in there to cover it up, is what that means. That's what that means. And they have the Freedom of Information Act personnel, looking at this from the standpoint now of, can we protect Hillary? It's unclear whether the Department of Justice is reviewing the emails before FOIA release. Former Secretary Clinton's emails are the subject of numerous FOIA requests, multiple FOIA lawsuits, and it may be prudent to integrate the Department of Justice into the FOIA process review to ensure redactions can withstand potential legal challenges. If not already being done, recommend State Department FOIA office incorporate the Department of Justice into the FOIA process to ensure the legal sufficiency review of FOIA exemptions and redactions. Oh, they're talking about redactions too. Fascinating. And the FBI and State Department IG, Stephen Linick, mentions an incident in May 13th, 2011, 2:28 a.m. Uma Abedin, Phil Rain, potential hack. I guess that's Felipe Reigns, I guess. Anyway, Clinton's IT technician, Brian Pagliano, sent to Bill Clinton's aide, Justin Cooper, a bill indicating that on July 28, 29, 2012, that Pagliano had to address the issue of mailbox corruption of Hillary Clinton's email server, spending a total of 5.5 hours on the problem. Other invoice items show he had to fix corruption in Justin Cooper's mailbox. They have a conference call with the security team. Block spammer with a Viagra message and this, and then it goes on from there. And then they talked about clean up the virus from the BlackBerry profile, multiple brute force attacks against Hillary's server requiring him to reset the password. They got into the server. It was hacked. Documents show Pagliano was paid $40,000 over 4 years to clean up that mess. Pagliano repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment rights in a deposition with Judicial Watch. Then you have a 2015 letter from the Secret Service to the Counterintelligence Division of the FBI addressing a request regarding preservation of records in connection with Clinton's email system. Letter also cites Judicial Watch litigation concerning preservation of her email records. Secret Service writes that its searches did not reveal any responsive documents. We already had done that. And the National Archives request for information from the State Department. And it goes on from there. There's a November 2012 classified email from Jake Sullivan, Clinton's top policy advisor, discuss a report of arrest, possible Benghazi connection with her. See how it's all interconnected. That's why she never wanted to be on the system. A request for travel, November 2015. FBI dispatched special agents to Spain and Bahrain to conduct interviews in the mid-year exam regarding sensitive investigative matter. David Kendall, Clinton's lawyer. That's included in the letters. Kendall writes the State Department Inspector General, IG, that the State Department is in possession of Clinton's work-related emails. He continues, Hillary's personnel, we will continue to retain a preservation copy of the file containing electronic copies of those emails on a thumb drive that is stored in a secure safe at the offices of William and Connolly. You get what's going on here? They now uncovered a cover-up of records on the illicit Clinton email scandal system. That's the whole point here. And you get to, and I'll get into this in the next hour with Greg Jarrett and David Schoen, but now we have also today a full breakdown of the testimony behind closed doors of James Baker. James Baker, we now know, was arguing that, in fact, Hillary violated the Espionage Act, which, of all things, all days, we now have Judicial Watch report that confirms that. They picked 40 emails randomly of the 33,000, and 4 of them had classified top secret information on them. And then this effort, they literally described the time and the date the bleach bit was used. Add that, but they protected her because they hated Trump and they wanted her to remain the candidate to beat Trump. That's why they used her phony dossier with Russian lies that she paid for. That's why they backdoored to spy on the Trump campaign, lying to and committing a fraud to the FISA court. They didn't tell the FISA court that, in fact, Hillary paid for the Russian lies. Bruce Orr warned everybody she paid for it. It was not verified or corroborated, and that Christopher Steele hated Trump. But yet it was still the bulk of information used in the FISA applications to get a backdoor into all things Trump world as part of an insurance policy to bludgeon him. This is worse than I ever thought. Do you realize what's coming out? We're going to get 302s. We're going to get Gang of Eight. We're going to get more of these closed-door testimonies. We are going to get the FISA applications. We are going to get the Inspector General report. We're going to get John Uber's report. And then we're going to get these criminal referrals from Devin Nunes. Let me just tell you this. They're going to jail. The evidence is gathered. It's just a matter of somebody smart enough to put it all together. It's going to happen. All right, when we come back, we're going to break down just released closed-door testimony. The number one lawyer, the general counsel of the FBI under James Comey, Jim Baker, who thought Hillary should have been indicted for violating the Espionage Act, which, by the way, is obvious. We'll continue the program. I got to send a note to somebody. Have been listen now. There you go. I got it out. Anyway, 800-941. Let me just go over what I was saying at the end of the last hour. Now, we have a number of things that have come out today. One, Judicial Watch uncovering the cover-up as it relates to the production of emails with the Clinton email server. The battle to cover this up goes back far back as 2014, but mostly in 2015. And they actually give the exact date that bleach bit was used to acid wash that hard drive because they wanted to get rid of it. Now we have people within the FBI and Justice Department. They just took a small sampling of some of the emails. They took 40 out of 33,000, 30 some odd thousand. Of the 44, they found to have top secret classified information in it, marked classified. And that's the clearest violation of the Espionage Act ever. You know, you listen to the Democrats. Well, okay, you might have been cleared of collusion, but, you know, it was Barr and Rosenstein that made the decision on obstruction. They don't care about obstruction of justice, because if they did, they would care about Hillary Clinton's conduct. And to have obstruction of justice, you would need something called intent. So when Hillary decided to erase the 33,000 subpoenaed emails and then acid wash the hard drive and beat up the devices with hammers and remove SIM cards, I think it's pretty clear the intent was to hide the evidence that she had violated the Espionage Act. Okay, so they don't care about that. Then today, we have Doug Collins, Congressman Georgia. He keeps releasing the closed-door testimony. We've got Strzok and Page and Bruce Orr and Nellie Orr and a bunch of other people. What's his name? Priestap. Well, now we got James Baker's testimony today. And it's very revealing. We're going to go through the context of this and the contents of it in just a minute. We've got Devin Nunes, who was on with me last night. This week, he will be releasing the first of what I believe and he believes to be a series of criminal referrals. Now, Congressman Mark Meadows of the Freedom Caucus, he's their chairman, said more criminals referrals to come. Certainly well-deserved. Overwhelming evidence showing multiple FBI DOJ executives abused their power to undermine a duly elected president, and they will be held accountable. This is just the beginning. Now we have Bill Barr, the new Attorney General. He went before the Appropriations Committee today, supposedly to talk about issues involving the budget of the Department of Justice. But he had a lot of questions about Mueller. He talked about the 4 things that would be redacted. He thinks it'll be released in the next week. For example, grand jury material. That's illegal. You must redact that in that report. You can't release that. You can't release sources and methods in the intelligence community. That would be a bad idea. Ongoing investigation. That would be a bad idea. And he went on to say that it would be released to the public within a week. And he also said that there has been no call for executive privilege up to this point. Well, they have the right to do that. Anyway, let's go to the transcript of, and this I think is really interesting, of James Baker. James Baker is the top lawyer at the FBI under Jim Comey. And he admits that he was arguing with everybody else why Hillary Clinton, in fact, should have been indicted. Joining us is the author of the bestseller, The Russia Hoax, The Illicit Scheme to Clear Hillary Clinton, Frame Donald Trump. He's proven more right every day. Greg Jarrett and David Schoen, criminal defense and civil liberties attorney. Welcome, both of you. All right, let's start with Barr and, of course, this testimony that was released. This is important, what I'm reading of James Baker's closed-door testimony.
Oh, it is, because it lends sustenance to the notion that this was a political move by the FBI to clear Hillary Clinton. Baker determined initially that she committed crimes, and he argued vociferously until James Comey and Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, and then the Department of Justice told him, no, we're not going to prosecute. We're setting a brand new standard that we are inventing that does not exist in the law, an intense standard for gross negligence. And so it's abundantly clear from his testimony the fix was in to clear Clinton.
Add one other point, and that was Page and Strzok's testimony behind closed doors that was revealed thanks to Doug Collins. And we learned in that case, We're not making any decisions. All of these decisions on Hillary are being made by the Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and we all know that they're Hillary supporters and nothing's going to happen.
Lisa Page said every decision they made in the Hillary Clinton case was being dictated to them by Loretta Lynch's Department of Justice in the Obama administration. And Peter Strzok said the same thing.
Yep. Beyond that, by the way, you have that side of the equation. You have all of the unbelievable things that were done, decisions made with respect to Hillary Clinton. But what Baker's testimony also gives you is the other side of the equation as to the complete anti-Trump bias that was going on around the office. Some of the things that are so important in his testimony are his description of the mood around the department, that so many higher-ups were concerned that the firing of Comey could constitute obstruction of justice, let alone any separation of power arguments never occurred to them, or that Comey served at the president's discretion. And beyond that, we know from Baker now that there was serious talk about the invocation of this 25th Amendment, this absolute circus idea to get rid of Donald Trump, that the taping of the president was a real thought, and this was all discussed by McCabe and others, and that it was a serious thing, despite what Rod Rosenstein now says.
He talks about Clinton election bias. He's asked a very important question, I think. About, on the face of it, it appeared that there was some language that could be interpreted very pro one candidate. This is the question to James Baker. Very anti another candidate. That would be bias. That you took the initiative, it's my understanding, to request the FBI's internal inspection mechanisms take a look at the mid-year case, the Hillary case, to see what might be right with it, wrong with it. Could you elaborate? That's something we haven't heard a whole lot about. And he said, yeah, I'm looking at the Inspector General report right now in front of me, and there's discussion in there. So when I heard about those texts, meaning Strzok and Page, I only read a few of them. They were described to me, and I became immediately quite alarmed. And so my thinking was, well, from, okay, I don't know. I know that. I knew that Inspector General was looking at them, but I knew they would address them. And so I knew that there was a process in place where he goes on to say, and what I was concerned about is whether any decision had been taken or not taken in the mid-year case, and whether they were driven by political bias of any sort. I was quite worried about it. I wanted to make sure that we as an institution, the Bureau as an institution, got on top of this extremely quickly. I suggested the leadership form a committee, sensitive. So he saw what was the favoring of one candidate over another.
Oh, absolutely. And Baker's testimony is blockbuster. It reveals not only pro-Hillary Clinton bias at the FBI and the Department of Justice to absolve her of the many crimes she committed, but also that in the Russian investigation of Donald Trump, that it too was being driven by this hate Trump bias in the media, exhibited at the FBI, exhibited by Peter Strzok and Lisa Page's texts. It was abnormal. Protocols were not being followed. And I must tell you that the headline for me today from William Barr is that he testified he will and is personally reviewing the Trump-Russia investigation, the origin of it, and the conduct of the people involved, meaning James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, James Baker, as well as the 5 individuals at the Department of Justice who signed off on this phony wiretap warrant lying to the court.
What do you say to that, David? And then you add to the fact that he was asked very specifically whether or not he thought Hillary and her campaign committed a crime on the email server, and he said yes. And
and then did nothing about it, quite frankly. This man was general counsel at the FBI. Very high, important responsibility. He had an obligation that if he saw action had to be taken and no action were taken, he had to go to the Attorney General. The Attorney General wouldn't act. He had a minimum. He had to report this to the Inspector General at the time, but he probably had an obligation to go even to the President, maybe to go someplace else. He had an obligation to affirmatively act in this case.
He could go to Congress.
He could go to Congress, absolutely. There's an oversight opportunity to go to there. That door is open, but he didn't. And so that speaks volumes. But again, it's part of this atmosphere. It was this hate Trump and playing politics in the Department of Justice like we've never seen, and carried to its full extension what some clearly had in mind was, for the first time that I'm aware of in history, this attempted coup, an actual attempted coup in this use of the 25th Amendment. And Baker says it was serious talk.
And, one step further, there are whistleblower statutes in place to protect somebody like Baker. He can go to Congress. He can blow the whistle on the corruption at the FBI and the Department of Justice. He has a legal obligation as general counsel to do that. He would be protected. He didn't do it, which makes him complicit in the corruption.
Right? Doesn't that, you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he had the obligation to do it, and he didn't do it. Listen, the opportunity to have Mr. Barr in there is what, people have said they've been waiting for here. There was nobody at the helm before. It's his obligation now to take these things seriously and to take seriously referrals from Congress. Mr. Nunes and others have thought carefully about who to refer and why to refer them, and they backed it all up with evidence. No one's guessing here about what happened. It has to be investigated.
And Barr will do it. I am absolutely confident. This is the second time he said he will do it.
So you think now this is a whole new ball game?
It is. Totally new ball game. Barr is an honest and honorable man who cares deeply about the rule of law. And when he says, give me the predicate, the reasons, the facts, the evidence to launch a full-scale investigation of alleged corruption at the FBI and the Department of Justice, I believe he will do it.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll have more on this. We got Devin Nunes. Well, that means we've got criminal referrals coming this week. Okay, everyone's going to get the full Mueller report. That's coming within a week. Then we've got a cascade of information that we will be getting. More closed-door testimony, like this blockbuster testimony we got from James Baker today, like Strzok and Page that we've already had. Many more people. Then we've got the 302s. We got the FISA applications. We got Gang of Eight information. On top of that, you've got the Inspector General Horowitz, his investigation into FISA abuse. And whatever John Uber is doing, I guess, is anybody's guess at this point, supposedly looking into leaking, but, nobody's heard from him in months. I don't know if he's maybe on a sabbatical or waiting breathlessly for his report. Hey, want to remind all of you, you know how much I love MyPillow. I fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer. You can too. And I didn't think it could get any better. And then, of course, we know Mike Lindell came out with his MyPillow mattress topper, which is like MyPillow and all its comfort for your entire body. All right, well, how do you top that? Well, now, believe it or not, Mike Lindell is a passion and obsession to get you the best night's sleep. He has now created the new Giza Dream Bed Sheets. Now, oh, come on, Hannity, what difference can sheets make? Well, these sheets are made from the world's best cotton, Giza. It's only grown in a very small region where the Sahara Desert and the Mediterranean Sea and the Nile River all meet to create what are the most ideal weather conditions for growing cotton. It's ultra soft, comfortable, breathable, and extremely durable. The Giza sheets. Now, they come with Mike's 10-year warranty, 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Right now, if you go to MyPillow.com, mention my name, Hannity, you save 30%. Or just call and mention my name, 800-919-6090. Again, promo code Hannity, and you will be sleeping on a cloud better than you ever have. It will be life-changing. You won't go on vacation without these sheets.
Information that the intelligence community believes would reveal intelligence sources and methods. The third are information in the report that could interfere with ongoing prosecutions. You will recall that the special counsel did spin off a number of cases that are still being pursued, and we want to make sure that none of the information in the report would impinge upon either the ability of the prosecutors to prosecute the cases or the fairness to the defendants. And finally, we intend to redact information that implicates the privacy or reputational interests of peripheral players where there is a decision not to charge them. Right now, the special counsel is working with us on identifying information in the reports that fall under those four categories.
My question is, now that President Trump has been exonerated of Russia collusion, is the Justice Department investigating how it came to be that your agency used a salacious and unverified dossier as a predicate for a FISA order on a U.S. citizen?
The Office of the Inspector General has a pending investigation of the FISA process in the Russian investigation, and I expect that will be complete probably in May or June, I am told. So hopefully we'll have some answers from Inspector General Horowitz on the issue of the FISA warrants.
Go ahead.
More generally, I am reviewing the conduct of the investigation and trying to get my arms around all the aspects of the counterintelligence investigation that was conducted during the summer of 2016.
Are you investigating who leaked the existence of the FISA order against Carter Page?
Who what?
Are you investigating who leaked the existence of a FISA order against Carter Page?
I haven't seen the referrals yet from Congressman Nunez, but obviously if there's a predicate for an investigation, it'll be conducted.
Did the White House see the report before you released your summarizing letter? Has the White House seen it since then? Have they been briefed on the contents beyond what was in your summarizing letter to the Judiciary Committee?
I've said what I'm going to say about the report today. I've issued 3 letters about it, and I was willing to discuss the historic information of how the report came to me in my decision on Sunday. But I've already laid out the process that is going forward to release these reports, hopefully within a week. And I'm not going to say anything more about it until the report is out and everyone has a chance to look at it.
Are you going to claim that you have a right to withhold any of that report based on a so-called claim of executive privilege?
Well, any claim of executive privilege would have to be asserted by the president.
And president,
as I said in my letter, which sort of speaks for itself, he has said that he's leaving the decisions up to me.
Okay. Are you going to claim executive privilege to keep any of that report back?
As I said, there's no plan. I have no plan to do that.
Okay. Do you believe that executive privilege applies to any broader range of communications and specific direct communications from the president?
I would have to review the latest opinions from OLC about the precise scope of it, but it's not relevant to me right now.
And as far as you know, does it apply to any communications by the president before he was president?
As I say, I'm not sure what the learning is in the Department of Justice on that.
And a quick question about subpoena. I'm not on the Judiciary Committee. My understanding is, though, they've issued a subpoena to you to release the full report. Would that put you in violation of federal law? If you were to comply?
In the current situation, I don't think I have the latitude to release 6E material. As to the other categories, as I said, I'm willing to discuss those with the judiciary committees. I want to try to accommodate and satisfy their interests, but at the same time uphold the law. And right now, and there's been a recent case decided in the District of Columbia just, I think, within the last week on this, the 6E material is not releasable.
All right, as we continue, that was Bill Barr from earlier today, and we'll have more as the show continues. It's happening in real time, as we've been saying, so glad you're with us. Let's get to some of our calls here. I know a lot of you have been very patient. Penny is in Virginia. Penny, hi, how are you? Glad you called.
Hi. In listening to all of the Democrat candidates put out there these crazy, ridiculous, very socialist ideas, I believe that the Democrat Party doesn't expect any of these candidates to have a chance at winning against Donald Trump. But they're all they're sacrificing themselves on the spike of these crazy ideas, because that moves the whole socialist ball forward.
Listen, you see a party now that has lost all touch with the American people. And I mean, on a level of extremism, I never really thought they'd be this transparent and this obvious. For whatever reason, you now have all of these states now fighting for during birth abortion. I mean, it's nuts. And, all this support of the new Green Deal, which is real for them. All of these radical moves. Let's let felons vote in prison. Let's go to the Electoral College and get rid of that, so New York, California, New Jersey, and Illinois can pick all of our presidents, because that's what's going to happen, exactly what our framers warned about, and exactly what they purposefully avoided to have a United States of America. Let's also stack the Supreme Court, but only when we get the chance to do it. Now, there's ways they can do these things, but, remember, they want this for them is all about power. That's it. It's not about, they are not legislating in a way that is benefiting the American people. And the greatest strength of Donald Trump, as we now begin a process heading into 2020, is his success. If it's Biden, who's, at or near the top, Biden still has a record to run on top of his insane statements and his creepy behavior. And then, of course, the corruption, as we have been pointing out, with Ukraine and his son, and him bragging about getting the prosecutor that was investigating his son fired by leveraging American tax dollars in the process. And then, of course, the money with China, son flying on Air Force Two with him to China. All of these issues will be vetted. The American people will understand them as deeply as this audience does before all is said and done. It gets out. It takes a while. A little bit of repetitiveness needed at times to get there. Anyway, good call. Appreciate it, Penny. Thank you. All right, quick break. We'll come back. More of your calls straight ahead, and our news roundup, information overload, some of the other issues we've been missing today. Hey, listen, spring is here, and I think these are the best flowers, the best deal you ever get from 1-800-Flowers.com. The first tulips of spring from 1-800-Flowers.com. They're gorgeous. It's a seasonal bloom, vibrant tulips in a variety of dazzling colors. They're arriving just in time to bring in the new season. Now, whether you're celebrating a spring birthday or an anniversary or just because, well, right now, our friends at 1-800-Flowers.com, they're going to give you their exclusive 30 for 30 offer. 30 beautiful assorted tulips for just $30. I think it's the best bouquet they put together. You get a bright mix of orange, yellow, pink blooms, assorted tulips, perfect for upcoming celebrations like Easter. Looks great in anybody's house. Now, these tulips from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak from the premier farm, shipped overnight, maximum freshness. You get 30 assorted tulips, $30, an amazing offer. It ends Friday. All you have to do is go to 1-800-Flowers. You can, you pick the delivery date, 1-800-Flowers.com, and click on the radio icon, enter the code Hannity. That's 1-800-Flowers.com, and click on the radio icon, enter the code Hannity. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful, beautiful bouquet. You're going to love it.
The final hour of the Sean Hannity Show is up next. Hang on for Sean's Conservative Solutions.
What's going on?
Hey, listen, so I was calling about the Strzok Page insurance policy and how that ties into the FISA warrant from the Unholy 16. They kept talking about this insurance policy that they had, and I saw Michael Caputo on Fox a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how he was approached by a Russian asset that was a 17-year FBI informant. And it made me start thinking, he was actually approached by him in May. And he said there are at least a dozen other FBI informants or Russian assets that were approaching people in the Trump campaign. This is before, the investigation started or anything. And I started thinking, why in the world would you go to the trouble to get a FISA warrant and doctor up a dossier and all this stuff if you didn't know darn well what you were going to find? And I think what they were hoping was they were going to trap the Trump campaign people to accepting information from these Russian assets. So then when the FISA warrant shows up and they go, we know what we're looking for, and lo and behold, we found it because we put it there. But the problem is the Trump people didn't bite, and then they lost their minds, right? Because there was nothing there to find, because they weren't accepting false information or Russian things.
A lot of people don't understand the nature of these campaigns, Jonathan, and I've now been through so many of these cycles. I'm there. I see it. I watch it. And, the best way to describe it is organized chaos where everybody for weeks and months at a time are gulping water. And you go through different stages where things might calm down a little bit. But for example, as you head into the primaries, you go from one primary, one state to the next state, to the next state, to the next state, and you're just flying all over the place. Then you got to follow the news and you got to react to attacks, and you constantly sort of there's a reconfiguration of messaging and what's working, what's not working. So there's not a whole lot of time. And, if you go back to the Trump Tower meeting, the Magnitsky Act, that was a setup too. You mentioned the setup because remember the woman that came in under false pretenses. It really was an issue about Russian adoption, but there were two meetings with Fusion GPS, one before and after. A coincidence?
Right. And what Michael Caputo says, and he said this, and I haven't heard it on the air since then, and I'm not wildly surprised about it. But what he said was he knew of at least a dozen other, and he named names, specifically of people that were approaching that were all FBI assets. And again, I'm not talking about the rank and file FBI people, right? We're talking about the unholy 16 or whatever you want to call them, right? The sour 16s, whatever you want to call them. But I can't believe that this, and look, maybe it is in the Mueller report, right? I mean, or the Inspector General's report to go, there was some really shady stuff going on, because you can't go plant evidence and then, go through all the trouble of a dossier unless you're feeling pretty confident that Hillary's going to get elected and nobody's going to know about it.
Let me tell you something. And this is the important aspect of all of this, is there was Russia collusion. There was Russian lies bought and paid for by one candidate. And first, this candidate was protected. She should have been indicted. As we now know, as all of these now closed-door testimonies come in, she was protected, and she had committed crimes. All the Democrats that cry obstruction, even though there was none and there no intent. We know what Hillary's intent was when she deleted and acid-washed her hard drive. There's no ambiguity on that at all. And then the Russian dossier, and that information was disseminated and leaked to members of the media so it would influence American voters. And it was used to bludgeon the Trump campaign and spy on them by getting to Carter Page. And then it was used afterwards as an insurance policy. Add to that, the Ukrainians, they want to give us the evidence of real collusion to help Hillary Clinton. Nobody cares about that. It's like they only care about sexual assault if it's a Republican they can bludgeon. Not the victims, alleged victims of the lieutenant governor of the great state or Commonwealth of Virginia.
Hi, I'm Raymond Denon, Vice President of Optima Tax Relief. If you're in debt to the IRS, there's a lot you need to know. Starting with rule number 1, don't mess with the IRS. They can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, even take your home or business. That's all true. But it's also true that there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. It's one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, even tens of thousands. Nobody knows this program like us, the experts at Optima Tax Relief. We have an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, and we've resolved over $500 million in tax debt for our clients. We'll stand between you and the IRS and fight to get you the best deal possible. Don't mess with the IRS. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima for a free consultation.
Call 800-611-8892. 800-611-8892. 800-611-8892.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, I'm Greg Miner,
As the founder of a small business, I know firsthand how difficult it can be to manage through cash flow problems. When I tried to borrow money, the banks wouldn't touch me, and I got a lot of fast talk from loan brokers. That's why we founded Merchant Capital Source 10 years ago, to help small business owners like you get the funding you need without getting the runaround. We'll fund your business from $5,000 to $200,000, and because we're a direct lender, there's no middleman to cause delays or cost you money. If you've been in business for 6 months and have sales of at least $15,000 per month, we can approve you within hours and put cash in your account within 3 days. The process is fast and easy, and the best part is that no tax returns, financial statements, or business plans are necessary. Experience the Merchant Capital Source difference and get cash for your business today.
Apply online at mcscash.com or call 800-368-2294. That's 800-368-2294. 800-368-2294. Loans made or arranged pursuant to a California Finance Lender's Law license.
Hear great Americans here.
We've been able to expand associated healthcare plans, offer more options like short-term duration plans, which allow Americans to choose, as opposed to putting them in what you would call a one-size-fit-all healthcare system.
Sirius XM Patriot 125.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. President Trump says he's not looking to reinstate the practice of separating migrant families at the border with Mexico. He says he was the one who discontinued the Obama-era family separation policy at the U.S.-Mexico border.
President Obama had child separation. Take a look. The press knows it. You know it. We all know it. I'm the one that stopped it.
The president says even though he would not support the practice, he believes it acted as a deterrent from people making a run at the border. Attorney General William Barr was on Capitol Hill today saying the public will soon see a redacted version of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia report.
Within a week, I will be in a position to release the report to the public, and then I will engage with the chairman of both judiciary committees about that report and about any further requests that they have.
That doesn't satisfy some Democrats. New York Congressman Jose Serrano says he's unsettled by the Attorney General's summary of the special counsel's report.
The American people have been left with many unanswered questions, serious concerns about the process by which you formulated your letter.
Both Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the leaders of the rival Blue and White Party, former military chief Benny Gantz and centrist politician Yair Lapid, have declared victory in Israel's elections as murky exit poll predictions rolled in. Both camps vowed they would call on allies to help them form a governing coalition. Full House star Lori Loughlin and her fashion designer husband Massimo Giannulli and 14 other parents were hit Tuesday with a new money laundering charge in the sweeping college admissions bribery scheme. The move comes a day after fellow actress Felicity Huffman, 12 other parents, and a coach agreed to plead guilty, signaling an escalation in the case against the parents who are continuing to fight the allegations against them. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 190 points, the Nasdaq dropped 45, the S&P lower by 18. More at townhall.com.
Have you ever seen a pest controller spraying chemicals in your home? It makes you wonder, if their chemicals are safe, then why do they suit up and wear respirators only to leave you to walk back in unprotected? G'day, I'm Scott from Plug-in Pest Free, and I'm here to tell you there's a better way. In an age where we now have the choice to drive electric cars, you too can electronically rid your home or business of unwanted rodents and pests. The answer is Plug-in Pest Free. 100% chemical-free, Plug-in Pest Free is your safest bet for your family and pets. Our bestseller, the Plug-in Pest Free Pro, will cover up to 4,000 square feet. Now that's fair dinkum. So order yours today at gopestfree.com. Use promo code SAVE20 for 20% off plus free shipping and a 60-day money-back guarantee. That's gopestfree.com, promo code SAVE20. Don't spray and regret, plug in and forget. Go pestfree.com today.
President Trump isn't the only one claiming vindication from Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says the Mueller report validates Moscow's repeated denials of collusion with the Trump campaign. Speaking at an international forum in St. Petersburg, Putin says Democrats' claims of collusion reflect their failure to accept the outcome of the 2016 presidential election, and their attacks on President Trump show a lack of respect for voters. He says it all reveals a crisis in the U.S. political system. Asked if Russia would support Trump's re-election in 2020, Putin says Moscow will respect the choice of the American people. Ben Thomas, Washington.
U.S. forces in Afghanistan revised on Tuesday the death toll from a Taliban attack the previous day near the main American base in the country, saying 2 U.S. soldiers and a Marine were killed, but not a contractor who was initially reported among the fatalities. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Campbell here, serial entrepreneur. Here's what our payroll customer, Laura, thinks about us.
Patriot Software and their amazing team are a crucial part of our business. They handle the details of payroll and tax payments, so we can focus on delivering exceptional customer service to our own clients. Patriot's payroll is affordable, easy to use, and it keeps us organized. They're receptive to their customers and strive to demonstrate that each day. Without a doubt, we will be using their payroll services for many years to come. Thank you, Patriot Software. 5 stars.
Go to PatriotSoftware.com to get your payroll pricing for up to 100 employees. Use promo code XM and get 2 months of payroll processing free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
My name is Preston James. I've been a stock and options trader for 23 years. I used to be an active swing trader, but that all changed once I discovered my Money Press weekly paycheck method. These days, I'm a passive trader hauling in more cash while being able to sleep at night than I ever dreamed possible. I'm passionate about the market and I like to keep it simple. My methods are changing thousands of lives and I'm confident it can change yours. But let the proof do the talking. By going to accountproof.com, that's accountproof.com, you'll see a 7-minute video revealing how my Money Press method grew a $54,000 account to $174,000 in less than 9 months. That works out to 5.8% per week. You'll see the proof right inside my real brokerage account. This isn't about overnight riches, but once you discover this for yourself, you can start on this same path overnight. You're 7 minutes away from changing everything you thought you knew about trading and investing. Go to accountproof.com to get started. That's accountproof.com.
Individual results may vary. There's no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Invest wisely.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
How many years until the world ends again? We have 12 years left to cut emissions by at least 50%, if not more.
Yes, there's ample evidence of collusion in plain sight, but that is not the same thing as proof of a criminal conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt.
It's not racist to say, if you're going to be here, then you should learn the language of the country that you just arrived at.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution.
Yeah, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song.
Sean Hannity. The new Sean Hannity Show. More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America. Coming up next, our final news roundup and information overload hour.
On the first one is FISA abuse and other matters. We believe there was a conspiracy to lie to the FISA court, mislead the FISA court by numerous individuals that all need to be investigated and looked at, and we believe the statute is the conspiracy statute. The second conspiracy one is involving manipulation of intelligence. That also could ensnarl many Americans. And so that's kind of the second one. As you know, we've had a lot of concerns with the way intelligence was used. So that would be kind of the two conspiracy recommendations, referrals that we're making. The third is what I would call a global leak referral.
My question is, now that President Trump has been exonerated of Russia collusion, is the Justice Department investigating how it came to be that your agency used a salacious and unverified dossier as a predicate for a FISA order on a U.S. citizen?
The Office of the Inspector General has a pending investigation of the FISA process in the Russian investigation, and I expect that will be complete probably in May or June, I am told. So hopefully we'll have some answers from Inspector General Horowitz on the issue of the FISA warrants. Go ahead. More generally, I am reviewing the conduct of the investigation and trying to get my arms around all the aspects of the counterintelligence investigation that was conducted during the summer of 2016.
Are you investigating who leaked the existence of the FISA order against Carter Page?
Who what?
Are you investigating who leaked the existence of a FISA order against Carter Page?
I haven't seen the referrals yet from Congressman Nunes, but obviously if there's a predicate for an investigation, it'll be conducted.
All right, that was First Evan Nunes, and the Attorney General appearing before Congress earlier today, given his testimony in all this. We also have the release, and it's very revealing, of the transcript of the top FBI lawyer during the Clinton-Trump-Russia investigations. That would be James Baker, who in this closed-door testimony expresses a lot of concerns about all the political bias. And he had been the one person that thought that, yeah, Hillary probably should have been indicted for the Espionage Act. Now, Kimberly Strassel is with us, author, journalist, member of the Wall Street Journal editorial board. She writes a weekly conservative column, Potomac Watch, every Friday in the Wall Street Journal, one of the leading voices and investigators in all of this. Kimberly, thanks for being with us. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to be here, Sean.
Let's start with Devin Nunes, and it actually gets deeper than that. Mark Meadows talked about the criminal referrals and how they will show an overwhelming amount of evidence on FBI abuse. And Barr saying today that, well, maybe as early as May, we're going to get the Inspector General report. We know there was FISA abuse. We know they never told the FISA court judges that Hillary paid for it. We know the information was not verified because it was unverifiable, because its own author, Christopher Steele, he couldn't say under oath whether any of it was true, and maybe 50-50 his words. And we know that in the particular case of presenting it to the court, that they withheld information that was critical. And if you can't verify it, you can't present it. And that would mean that they committed a fraud on the FISA court. And I would imagine some people are in deep trouble over that.
Well, it's just great news overall that Congressman Nunes is doing this, because a lot of us wondered last year. They had all of these interviews. Obviously, most of them were done behind closed doors. We couldn't see what they were. But the point was, where is all of this going? Well, now we know there's new leadership at the Department of Justice. That's something that's been lacking there. We didn't have someone in charge who had the ability to look at all of this, given that Jeff Sessions had to recuse. Now we've got a new cop on the block. They're going to send over these referrals. The Attorney General has already expressed his willingness to look at that. And as he said, if there's a predicate for investigation, he will move on them. Some of these, I am told, are very straightforward, like the lying to Congress ones and the leaking ones. There will be evidence in these referrals that will be hard to ignore and hard to not bring a case against someone. The conspiracy charges, that's a little bit more of an uncharted territory, but it is certainly an opportunity for the House members to present everything they have to Barr, who has himself finally expressed some interest. We finally have interest to look into this and investigate.
Well, what did you think of the Attorney General's testimony today? He says sometime probably in a week he's going to release this with obvious redactions. I mean, it was so funny that you have the cowardly Schiff, Adam Schiff, who I think has lied many times to the American people. I would love the 4 hours of airtime that I've offered him, 3 on radio and 1 on TV. I'll take Gerald Nadler, too. I'll take any of these people that want to come, because we have our dossier on him, including a tape of him colluding with a Russian hoaxer, thinking he's getting information that would disrupt the political process in the U.S. But as I listen to Mr. Barr, and it sounds to me like everything that he wrote in his letter is true, and that basically there was no collusion. Now, that is confirmed 4 times. And on top of that, there is no obstruction. There was no intent, no evidence of obstruction. And this has been a 2-year lying campaign by the news media and the Democratic Party to destroy a duly elected president.
Yeah, the takeaway from the Barr testimony is that he just completely destroyed this whole new Democratic claim of some cover-up that has happened here, which is the only thing they were left with after the Mueller report came out, and they didn't get their collusion findings and they didn't get their obstruction charges. But Barr was, I thought, pretty masterful today in destroying that, in that, you know, he said, look, we've been working with the special counsel for a long time. There's been oversight. This was not necessarily a surprise what was coming. That was how we were able to put this letter out so quickly. Moreover, I gave the special counsel the opportunity to review the letter, and he chose not to, all of which suggests that he probably didn't, because he knew that what Mueller or what Barr was putting out there was completely straightforward. The findings are pretty straightforward. So, and he's also, you know, he pointed out, we're going to have these redactions. I'm going to color code them so that you can see exactly why we're taking out what we need to do. I'm also not going to go, and at least not now, and ask for these kind of crazy requests that you guys have asked for, Democrats, to have a grand jury actually sign off, or a judge sign off on releasing grand jury testimony, which is just an opportunity for Democrats to smear a lot of private citizens who testified.
You know, if you stay focused, though, on the issue of, okay, the FBI did their own 9-month investigation. Even Strzok and Page acknowledged there was no evidence of any Trump campaign Russia collusion, but the special counsel was appointed anyway. Now, how that happened, I believe that James Comey potentially violated the law by leaking classified information, government documents. I think that is a problem. And more so, how did James Comey sign off? If the Grassley-Graham memo was accurate on the dossier that was bought and paid for by Hillary, never verified, how did he sign off on that in October 2016 and then go to Trump Tower to meet with President-elect Trump in January 2017 and say it's unverified and salacious? Wouldn't he have to have been saying to the FISA court that he's verified it? Doesn't that mean that either he lied to the court or lied to the president-elect?
Well, what you're putting your finger on here, Sean, and I think it is the vital question, is how early on did everyone at the FBI know that this dossier had been bought and paid for by the rival campaign? How much discussion was there about that, and how much were they aware that what they were doing was inappropriate? And in your opening, you mentioned the testimony that we're just publicly seeing today from the former general counsel, James Baker, and they were highly aware that this was an explosive thing to be using, and that this is why, this gets to why we ended up having the obscured language that they used in the FISA warrant. I'm told that not only did we know that they obscured that, but in addition, what did they not put into that FISA warrant? Exculpatory evidence that they may have had in their hands at that point, which would have argued against going forward with surveillance of American citizens. That's also an obligation of the FBI, and I think we've got a lot to learn yet about what Mr. Comey exactly knew and how he could justify any of this.
During his testimony, and this is the testimony released by Congressman Collins today with James Baker, the general counsel, the number one attorney for the FBI under Comey, Baker described in the case of Hillary's emails, her behavior in general as alarming and appalling, and argued with others about why they thought she shouldn't be charged. Now, ultimately, they won out, but the reality is that we know she had classified, top secret, special access programming information marked as such on that private server in a mom and pop bathroom closet. So that would be a crime. And with all the talk about whether or not the president obstructed, if you have subpoenaed emails, Kimberly, and you happen to delete them, some 33,000 of them, and then you acid wash the hard drive, so anything that might be remaining on that hard drive is gone, and you have an aide bust up your devices with hammers in case those emails transferred over to those devices, and you pull out the SIM cards. I don't think there's a greater case for obstruction of justice I could ever make in my life.
Well, let's hope that the Attorney General, Mr. Barr, decides to actually take a look back at the way the DOJ conducted itself and FBI during that entire investigation, too. He's been more quiet on that front But a review of those procedures, I think, is absolutely warranted. And in particular, I mean, you're mentioning the obstruction charge against Hillary, but there were other things that were just really eyebrow-raising throughout all of that. I mean, to this day, for instance, you can go look at testimony that other Hillary Clinton aides gave to the FBI. And remember, as we're constantly told, it is a crime to lie to the FBI. But they gave testimony that is completely counter-indicated, contradicted by emails that the FBI had in its possession and made public. So you can just go look at that black and white situation right there. Clearly, they were not treated in the same way that the FBI treats other people. And I think that that's a concern. When I go out and talk to people, their feeling that there is unequal justice at the moment is one of the biggest issues for them. And that has to be a question that William Barr addresses at the top of DOJ.
And when we come back, I want you to put together what you think happened. I call it the biggest abuse of power, corruption scandal in history. And I think by the time we get new information, which is coming out now daily, I think that America is going to see that everything was topsy-turvy from the beginning. Quick break, more with Kimberly Strassel of the Wall Street Journal. Maybe you want to know more about how our constitutional republic works, more about politics, the differences between capitalism, socialism. Maybe you wish you knew more about our founders, framers, American history. Well, the good news is it's never too late to learn, no matter how busy you are or how long it's been since you've been to college. And I'm telling you, you can do all of this for free thanks to our friends at Hillsdale College. Now, they are providing what is a taste of the core curriculum that every Hillsdale College student takes, and that is the core that teaches how to think critically and act virtuously. And getting started is simple. You can sign up for one or more of Hillsdale's most popular online courses for free, and you can start learning whenever you like. They've set up a special website, easy registration, online.hillsdale.edu. All right, so stop wishing, start learning. Online.hillsdale.edu. Maybe take some of these classes with your kids. Online.hillsdale.edu. We'll continue straight ahead.
While the mainstream media is asleep at the wheel, Hannity Watch is on the job, bringing you the news no one else can. Sean Hannity.
This is the sound of Pandora now.
Still going bad on them anyway.
This is the sound of Pandora now.
Pandora Now, a brand new SiriusXM channel featuring nothing but the most played
and top trending tracks.
According to millions of music lovers.
Using Pandora every day.
Pandora Now.
SiriusXM. Channel 3.
These statements have not been reviewed by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey, Jim. We missed you last week.
Yeah, I had some kidney issues.
Been there, done that.
Really? You too?
Do the words calcium oxalate stones mean any...
Oh, don't say those words.
Sorry.
They said even with a low oxalate diet, there's a 50% chance of recurrence.
You need Kidney Cop, calcium oxalate protector.
Kidney Cop?
Oh, yeah. Kidney Cop is an amazing patented supplement that is shown in laboratory tests to reduce the rate of calcium oxalate...
Don't say it.
Sorry. Shown in laboratory tests to reduce the rate of calcium oxalate crystal growth by 99%.
99%?
There's nothing else like it. My doctor and pharmacist both gave Kidney Cop 2 thumbs up.
And it's working for you?
I haven't had a single issue.
Is it expensive?
No, it's super affordable. You'll be amazed. And right now, you get 15% off, plus free shipping at trykidneycop.com and 100% satisfaction guarantee. I can say that, right?
You can say that again. For your special introductory offer, just go to trykidneycop.com today. That's trykidneycop.com for 15% off, plus free shipping. That is trykidneycop.com.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I take my daughter and her college friends out for sushi. Here's my card.
And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Here's what you can do. Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream and pay off those credit card balances. You can get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 6.14% APR with AutoPay.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate. Thanks, Lightstream.
Want an even lower interest rate? Apply today at lightstream.com/rate and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/rate for an additional discount. Lightstream.com/rate.
Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/rate for more information.
Hey guys, Ken here from the award-winning podcast Today's Growth. If you had to choose sides, which camp would you rather be in? Would you rather have time and no money, or money and no time? Did you know that 95% of U.S. adults by choice have settled into these categories? Much more interesting is that 1 out of 20 people have built their life around achieving simultaneous control of both time and money. What choices did these 5% make that the others didn't? My friends at Income Store have shown both households and businesses how to build second, third, and even fourth revenue streams for the express purpose of gaining control of time. When it comes to helping folks create their next revenue model, both Forbes and Inc. recommend Income